Well, hello. How are you all? So I'm back in Australia after gallivanting around Italy with Sarah, Rachel, Juju and extended family. We've had an absolute ball. So pleased with what we saw, what we experienced, and just the good times we had. There was so much giggling and mucking around. The only downer was Gaz got the flu pretty bad, so he came back just after Christmas. So he had 2 weeks in Italy. He wasn't too concerned, to be honest, because we're looking at lacy things and fabric and all things old and vintage. So, he was sort of wandering behind us, just thinking, how can they be enthused about that old grotty piece of fabric? So it's really quite funny. So when he came down with the flu and he was feeling a bit off, very off actually, he said, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you to it. He said, I'll explore Italy another time. So he chuffed off home and left me there to fend for myself. I also come down with the flu, so did some of the others. But there was no way I was going to get dragged out of Italy. It was, I was in for the long haul. So good to be home in some warm weather. So it's certainly helping my chest. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's just this persistent cough. We suspect we had influenza K. And Gaz has done a little bit of research and apparently is just sweeping across the planet like they do these flus. So, yep, I'd say that's what we got. Anyway, beside the point, I've been sorting through all my luggage. Gaz brought back 2 suitcases full of treasures and then I followed with my 2. I was a little bit overweight, so I had to send a box of fabric home. But it was nothing really exciting that you guys sort of need to hang around waiting for that box to arrive in Australia. I can it was linen, hemp, just in bulk. So because Rachel was kind enough to take us to some of her wholesalers and her dealers that she works with to get her supplies, I picked up some bulk purchases that will help me when I do my retreats and projects and things like that. So the only other thing in that box is some newer fabrics, like some toiles and things like that. So look, all that'll pop up in future projects, future videos. All the really cool stuff's here now. So I've spent the day, I've had very little sleep. Jet lag is a real thing. And I was up at 2 a.m. in the morning and I just started unpacking, washing, cleaning, stacking. And through this whole room of mine, I've got little piles of things. So I'm just going to work through them with you guys, show you some of the things I got. And so I will stop and start the video a little bit as we, work through these piles. And Fudgy is like hanging around me like, sticking to me like glue is the saying. So just to excuse the fudge, he will come and go as he just comes and says hello to Mum again. So first of all, let's go through the Christmas gifts. Now there are some that have spread into other piles, but I've got a little pile here. Rachel on her videos leading up to Christmas was making all sorts of things. Some journals, some ephemera packs and some Christmas cards. This is the little one that Gaz was given. So that came back with Gaz and I've only just got my hands back on it. Mine is in the back of my little stitch journal, which I'll show you in a moment. But before we get to that, you saw on Rachel's videos where she made me a journal and I had full intentions of playing in it. But I just got really overwhelmed with it all. There was just so many goodies packed into the ephemera. I've added bits and pieces. Straw paper is a thing in Italy. And those of you who buy Rachel's ephemera packs would know that straw paper is one of the staples. And wherever we were in a restaurant, we were like keeping the straw paper. So my little ephemera pack here that Rachel gifted to me for Christmas became a place where I was putting additional papers that postcards were in, straw paper that was colours I'd never seen before. This had cutlery in it, more straw paper, more wrapping paper. It just got overwhelming. And I'm thinking, well, where do I start in the way of journaling? And I thought I just didn't want to rush it. So I ended up sending my gift, my journal, back home with Gaz because I thought I'm only dragging it around Italy. I'm not ready to work in it. And I ended up just going back to what I'm really comfortable with, and that's stitching. So I'll show you that, like I said, in a moment. But firstly, some of the Christmas gifts. This is a gorgeous heart from Juju. So absolutely wrapped to have a gorgeous Juju heart. That will be going on the wall. Sarah gave me this gorgeous tin, and it came in so handy. It was really good to put my scissors in because they were sharp, pointy little scissors. And often we were doing day trips or say an overnighter to a city. So I was able to pack a small project in here. So really cool, really good gift. Threw in a few needles every so often. So this got used pretty much on the fly. There was a lovely parcel there waiting as well from Vicky. Thanks, Vicky. Really appreciate it. And some of the little treasures that came with Vicky's little gift sort of merged into all sorts of things. So I think that's the gifts. What I'll do next is show you what I did as a travel journal. So you've already probably seen Rachel's video. It's the day after I flew home. I don't think Sarah's got anything up yet. She's still making her way back to Sydney. So Rachel and Sarah did a roll, and I started thinking about doing that, but I ended up going towards a bit of a journal because I found this really cool book. It's from the 1950s, I think it was, so it's not old, and it's probably, I don't know, maybe it was even a Reader's Digest. I meant to check a cover when I got home to see if it was a similar size. Let me just do that, because we were discussing the Reader's Digests, and I thought if that is the same size as the good old Reader's Digest, oh no, it's a little bit bigger. It would be really cool to have, you know, it join the set of book covers that are all projects that are kept in a Reader's Digest, which is going to be probably what I do for Cloth Tales when I kickstart volume 9 of the Roxy project. But in the meantime, for the month of January, I've done this travel journal. So I removed the print block that was inside, removed the spine because it was quite narrow, and created my own tab spine and stitched the signatures in as I created them. I'll go through all of this in more detail in my Cloth Tales video, because this is my favourite way to stitch my pieces into journals, because I love seeing the side of my work. So this is a taste of Italy. I got in amongst Rachel's stamps and stamped out a few things. So the date, and also, you know, a title, A Taste of Italy, and I also wrote Italy on the side. I'm so chuffed with it that I think going forward as a project for me to take and do and journal, this is a good one for me. So I'll give you a flip through. So I might just move this out of the way. It's one of the piles, and I might bring the camera in. So along the lines of what Rachel and Sarah did, we pretty much bombed a page or a strip, as the girls did, with imagery that spoke to us about wherever we were at the time, and then applied all the things we usually do. So thread painting, lace, scrappy bits, and just meandered our way through. So let's open it up. Now, this was one of the first pieces I did, and that's one of Rachel's fabrics that is a black silhouette, and then I just sat in the back seat of the car as we drove a couple hours up to the villa in Tuscany and stitched. The only thing that was frustrating is there were a lot of tunnels that wove through the mountains, so that was pretty funny. I'd be stitching away, next minute go really black, and then oh, sunlight, and then black again. So I managed to get it stitched. That then joined numerous other sort of pieces that I was creating, so they're not in a chronological order. Now, as Rachel mentioned, on Christmas Day, we all started sketching onto fabric. Now, I slung a piece of this fabric, this linen, to Steffi. Now, Steffi is an architect. This is Rachel's husband, and he sketched a scene in Venice for me. And I was like, oh, so gorgeous. And it was a really good size. And then I just embellished around it, did some thread painting, stamped the word Venice, and that became a spread on the inside of my little cover. So like I said, no particular order. This is Rachel's hometown, and once again, just collaged a heap of fabrics around. Now this little sketch, this one is mine. This is an old church that my hotel sat beside, so I'd often hear that clock chime, the big bell, and then I'd wander down through the streets to the main square where they had a beautiful Christmas tree. So I found this little trim and I cut out the little Christmas trees, applied them in sort of as a nod to the big Christmas tree that was lit in the centre of town. I'll put a photo or two of that, because not only did we see it unlit, looked gorgeous, we saw it lit, and then later in the month I saw it covered in snow. So I'll definitely include some pictures of the Christmas tree. And in around it is just trims that I picked up on my travels. There was a lot of roosters in our journey that we seemed to see, and particularly Rachel's hometown has a huge metal rooster on the roundabout as you enter the village. So I had to pop that on there and just thread painted. So because it was Christmas, I said to Rachel, do you mind if I buy some bits and pieces from you out of your little range of printed fabrics? So I picked up some Christmas printed images, which gave me the bird and these children, and I've sort of drifted that through my overall theme of Italy, because we were there at Christmas. So every so often there's just a random stitched Christmas page, which I just love, and it's just given it a nice, I guess, overall theme. While we were in Venice, huge pigeons and a fish fell out of the sky and nearly hit Rachel on the head. So we laughed and laughed and laughed, and as we left this hotel and this fish had landed on the pavement beside us, nearly hitting Rachel, we went around the corner, crossed one of the little bridges that go over the canals, and there were a heap of fish floating. So something must have happened, whether it was a temperature change or I don't know, but there was just hundreds of these floating fish, and these huge seagulls were picking them up, and one of them must have been flying over our heads. The fish was too much for him. He dropped it. It fell from the sky and pretty much came close to clonking Rachel on the head. So after we regained our giggling, I said to the girls, I'll stitch you all a fish. So everyone got a little fish as we were sitting on a train and added it to the journal. So that's my fish. That's one of my sketches. As we were going through Venice, there were just so many scenes that were just beautiful. I could have just sketched Venice until, whatever. It's just so much to see. Another Christmas scene, once again, just bits and pieces that I found in my travels, some of the lace that I picked up, some very old embroidery. In Rachel's hometown, there's a famous printer who prints onto linens and hemps different images using a very old method, and we had a little tour and bought lots of pouches from them that they make and some fabric. I'll show you that in a moment, but that was on a tea towel. The tea towel, this is it here actually. It was one of the first textiles I picked up, and it had these reindeers on each end of the tea towel. I quickly fussy cut them out, and you'll see they appear throughout my whole project. This is another tea towel. I didn't cut this one up. I wanted to use this in my kitchen. So that's just one of the little touristy things we picked up. So that's one of those reindeer. This is all about Christmas Day, and we stayed up at their family, Steffi's family home. That's the farmhouse. So another one of my little sketches. And it was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It was just felt like I was back at a farm. It was fantastic. And Steffi was telling us stories that when he was a little fella, it was covered in snow and he'd be tobogganing with his cousins. So when I found that image in my Christmas pack of printed fabrics, it just had to go in there. So that's a bit of a nod to Steffi pulling one of his little cousins around in a homemade go-kart at the family farm. You see how these pages sort of came together. Some of Rachel's fabrics, fussy cut out, stitched. Same here, just embellished. And then we move on to the next thing. So in amongst our travels, we went to some of the big famous touristy places, Pisa, for example, and Florence and Milan. I didn't end up sketching anything in Milan. We were only there a very short time. Gaz was coming off the heat of his flu and I was starting to get mine. So we really used those few days that we were up there just to rest. We had an apartment and Gaz slept for 2 days and I wasn't much behind him. So we were there to meet up with Lucy, Rachel's daughter, who was finishing up some uni and having then Christmas off. So we took the opportunity to travel up there, check the city out, not that we did much, visited some of Rachel's favourite places and took a moment to have a bit of a rest. So there's no Milan in here, but we did, when we were up in Tuscany, did a day trip to Pisa, and there's my very poor attempt at a 3 degrees falling over, not quite Pisa, leaning tower of Pisa. It's more like a 15-degree lean, but it's all good. And that's the side of a big cathedral that's next to the tower. So that's my little Pisa nod once again. Just thread painted some of Rachel's fabrics. Florence, oh my goodness, has to be my favourite city. We were only there a day and Rachel had us hoofing through the back streets and upside alleys, checking out some of her favourite sites. And oh boy, that city is just, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I really felt a connection with this city. I guess it met all my, you're in Italy, this is what Florence is about. So I am so going back and I'm going to go through every tour I can, every museum I can, and it's just on the list. So in the future, I'll be back there, hopefully one day. Statues, Statue of David, very famous statue. That's my poor attempt to sketch a naked dude. There were heaps of them, different statues around, just incredible, some great photos. I'll throw those in amongst my video as well. So a little nod to the famous David statue. Still in Florence, this is the main area of Florence when you walk up to all the cathedrals, and this was just full of people and tours, and you could just spend a day just in that region there. Loved it, loved Florence. Picked up some vintage textiles from different flea markets. I didn't get a lot of these. I thought if I'm going to take up space in my suitcase, it's not going to be old embroideries that I might come across, in our backyard. So I sort of just picked a few that I thought I could use within this. So that sort of kept me under control and I didn't go crazy buying, every piece of embroidery that I spotted. So this was a tablecloth and I just loved the colour palette. And then I remembered that one of Rachel's fabrics, you can see in the background there, has those soft pastels. So I thought, that's going to be perfect for a big spread. And that is just a little sketch showing you what Tuscany literally looks like. And it's exactly as you imagine it in the movies, soft rolling hills with these villas and those cypress conifers on the sides of these hills with vineyards and olives and you can imagine it. So just totally loved that region and loved Florence and everywhere in between. So that's the black image there that Rachel has on one of her fabrics, and that's me stitching it in with some threads. So I just love that fabric. I think it's one of my favorites. And then on the final page is Let It Snow. This is a piece of beautiful embroidered fabric. It's so thin that Rach gave me, and it was exactly the size for my journal. And I thought, what a great background. Then I found that little image in her printed, printed fabrics. So I cut it out. These 3 are playing in the snow, and then using some of the textiles that I'd picked up in my travels, just sort of tried to emulate mounds of snow using the lace. That's a gorgeous tatting that I found in one of the markets that has a variegated blue to cream, and I popped 3 little pieces of that. That'll show up later in my video. That's the card that Rach gave me, and that's just a list of all the little places that we went to. And now that I'm home and I've found Gaz's card, I plan to hinge that in here, and that will just stay with the journal as well. I'll probably put it like that. So that's my stitched activity as I went around Italy. Absolutely loved it. All finished, ready to put onto the bookcase. So let me just go back to this pile, pouches. So the place that prints these fabrics had quite a great gift shop. And as part of their revenue stream, they make all sorts of tea towels and linens and rugs, and all printed with gorgeous images. And underneath all of this printing are these pieces of fabric that catch the ink. And Gaz just fell in love with this and requested some cushions to be mated. So there's a little bit of yardage there, and he wants some big cushions made for his man cave. So, you know, I'm grabbing lots of treasures. So the lad got to pick a piece of fabric. So that's a project for another day. I might even just drape it over the couch. His couch in his shed is a soft, well, it's a soft grey, but it's fairly dark. I think that's why he went for this, to get a pop of colour. And his rug in there, well, most of his odd rugs and things are reds and blues. So this is what attracted him. So I may even just drape that over the couch. Anyway, we'll see. Pepper and Bandit are woofing a lot. I might just check the boundary fence. There might be something going on. I need to be... Oh no, they're settling down. I'll just have a little look. Back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. It was just a lizard. They spotted a lizard walking along the side of the garden bed, and it was on the perimeter outside our fence line. So they just gave it a bit of a woof. So that's what that was about. All right, where was I? Pouches. Oh, this became a thing. Because we had all these projects going and we were gathering textile treasures as we travelled, you need pouches, and I did take pouches with me. As you can see, this was my threads, but they were already full, and Sarah had a similar scenario, so it became the running joke, we need another pouch, and there's no way we could make them quick enough. So when we went to the printing house in Rachel's hometown, they had all these pouches for sale. So every time we were back there, we'd be slipping in and grabbing some more pouches. So I just thought I'd show you them because they worked really well for like dividing up all your little treasures. They're all printed by them. They're all different sizes. And when I finished my book, or I couldn't decide what to stitch next within my stitched journal, I started embellishing them. There's another reindeer. I did this while sitting on a train. This one had all my pens in it and scissors and things like that at one point, and then bits of fabric that was, you know, small. And then I had some spare embroidery left, so I embellished that one. And I then got a slightly bigger one again. So I went for pouches that were fairly plain because I knew one day in my travels I would embellish them. So they're just going to sit ready to go on adventures, and if I don't like the project I plan to make, I can embellish a pouch. So that's the plan with the pouches. Threads. Even though I took threads, I picked up some of these DMC threads I've seen Rachel use, and I thought I'll just give them a go. Now apparently they're not in Australia. I wish they would. I'm going to have a chat to my local girls and see if it's something that they can get in, because boy, it's beautiful. It's pearl cotton. It's one continuous length, and I snipped them when I, opened up the pack. I snipped them so that I could just pull out a strand and then stitch away. So I picked up quite a few colours. That's from Japan. That just got caught up in amongst it. But they're absolutely beautiful to work with. DMC, pearl cotton, I think I went with all number 8s. Yep, number 8s. And yeah, so if anyone in Australia knows where these guys are for sale, I would love some more colours because they were just like pulling butter through the fabric. So really, really cool. That's Japan. So I just thought I'd mention that. So if anyone sees those in their travels in Australia, let me know because I'd love to add to the collection. Like I need more threads, not. Anyway, let's keep going. So this pouch I made after doing a retreat with the girls in Robinson, and then when I got home, this composition, what will I do with it? I ended up stitching it into this with some plastic zipper pouch. And the reason I'm showing you this worked a treat. It was so good to have somewhere that I could slide things into. I could see them. And this here, I had made a needle book for it, which I didn't end up taking, but this became a great space to slide my work under, because here's another piece I stitched. There's those reindeers. See the tea towel that just kept giving? This was the first one I did. And this was celebrating Rachel's hometown, the printing business. There's the Christmas tree when it was not lit and just green and gorgeous. Promised to put the photos. I had a pussycat come and sit on my lap because I was sitting with Gaz in the local park, and this pussycat appeared from nowhere, had a smooch around my ankles. Next minute he was on my lap, next minute he curled up and he was asleep. Sat there for like 20 minutes. I think we were arranging a time to meet with the gang for lunch, something like that, and this pussycat just appeared. As we were getting ready to sort of wake the cat and move on, trust me, he was in very good condition. He had a collar. He was beautiful. 2 elderly gentlemen come along on their push bikes, and I didn't know what they were saying to me, but they seemed to know this cat. So when I woke him up and said, come on, we've got to go. See you later, my friend. Pussycat went straight over to these 2 guys who were now on the bench seat next to us in this garden and jumped up on their lap. And I thought, oh, hello, there's something going on here. Whether they were saying, that's our cat, put our cat down, he's our cat, I don't know. He appeared from a garden behind us, and these 2 gentlemen bicycled in and just pulled up themselves on this bench for a chat with this cat. So that little pussycat appears there in my stitching. So that was within the first few days we were actually in town, yet to start our adventures. And then I decided, having completed this, that I needed a smaller format. So technically that's what came of the rest of the trip, but this was the first piece. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I suspect I'm going to make something like this. So I will need to work out how to extend it, which should be easy enough to do, and then do that to it. So that's a project for another day, and it'll be a Christmas themed pouch. Worked really well. I really love it when I can make something and it actually works. So let me just clear the deck. This video is going to go forever if I don't hoot along a little. So this is just a pile of random fabrics that I picked up in my travels and appeared through the journal. So I thought before I pop them in the cupboard, I'll just show you. These were like little packs. This is from Roberta's store. It was beautiful. In Milan, we spent most of the day there looking at her gorgeous store, and she took us out the back and we had a look at her gorgeous collection of vintage and antique fabrics from Paris, and oh, she's a girl after her own hearts. So they can now be put away. Rachel gave me a, I might just pack them on my nun's tray. Oh, look guys, I got myself a nun's tray. Let me zoom up a little bit. She's a monster. Look at this baby. How gorgeous. I just love it. I can just picture the nun with her needlework on it, walking around, taking it with her. Oh, she's so gorgeous. I've given it a gentle clean, but she's old and just a treasure. So I might use it to put my fabrics on so that I can, pack this all away. So as part of my Christmas gift, Rachel gave me a selection of some very old, gorgeous French fabrics, so I can pop them in my little caddy of French bits. Bit of lace that's kicking around. These are the offcuts that I used through my stitch journal. Rachel was very generous whenever we were looking for just a random little piece of fabric. She's like, this is the land of fabric, and out come her box of look, another reindeer, her box of scrappy bits. So she just allowed us to sort of help ourselves, which is fantastic. So that's the reindeer. I might end up needing him, actually. I'll put him with this because he can find a home. He's the last one. So there must be one in the book. These here, and I think I gave a couple to Rachel. I can't remember now. These are some of the fabrics that I bought from Rachel. I thought I was going to go with a bit of a Renaissance-y old Italian feel, but I ended up doing Christmas. So I have those just to add to my stash of Rachel fabrics. Put them over there. I fussy cut out a few of the flowers, thinking they might turn up on a page. They were the leftovers. I was playing with the choir girls, never happened. Had a couple Santas appear within my piece. These are the residual. That just, I was trying to use that bell everywhere because these cities have these beautiful bells that you hear chiming, but I just never, look, let's get it into this. Let's put these Christmas ones here. This will be a future project, guys. And those little girls, put them in there. We'll come back to that rainy day project, making it into something useful to travel with. In addition, I picked up some actual fabric because I had a few euro left. You know how it is. You've got a bit of pocket money left. It's the last 10 minutes before you leave the country, so there's a bit of panic shopping. So I went into Rachel's shelving and where she had her fabric cut by the metre, ready to ship to all of us, and I picked up this one. I hope I don't have it already. I don't think I do. Gorgeous. I think Judy had made a pouch, and in our whole month of traveling, it was always around, and I was seeing some of these fabrics, and I just thought, gee, they're pretty. So when I saw this was cut, ready to ship, if anyone ordered it on her Etsy store, I was like, oh, I'll take that. And I used a lot of script in my pieces. And I thought, I'm going to grab some yardage of that. So I got a metre of that one as well. And I just know it'll just be handy. So they were my two additional purchases, along with some of the printed images for fussy cutting. So those can go away now. Now, as a side project, I also took with me this caddy. My friend Val is making some caddies for my retreat. She has a pop-up store selling lots of denim bags and things like that. And I said to her, oh, could you make some blanks of Jennifer's gorgeous caddy so that the girls can purchase them and embellish them? And then she gave me one for Christmas and said, embellish away, girl. And I said, well, that suits me because then we can pop it on the table and it might give them ideas. So I was thinking a strawberry theme, which I think you guys did see as I packed this. Well, strawberries sort of got cast aside. I did put one strawberry vintage embroidery that Rachel gifted me there. These are some of the Paris fabrics. That's a Tilda. That, I don't know where it come from. I think I grabbed it out of my stash as I flew out the door. Rachel's fabrics and one of her images fussy cut. I pinned everything before I left, the evening before we flew out, and the day before we flew out, full of pins. Threw it into my hand luggage and I stitched this on the plane flight. So everything is just invisible stitched down, and I'm yet to go in and actual thread paint, add more stitching, probably more fabricy bits. So it's sort of the start of it, but it's not finished yet. Now on the inside, I had some fabric here in Australia that I took. This is some bark cloth that I used on my strawberry pouch. and I cladded around the zipper pouch that Val had created here. In Jennifer's pattern, it's a drawstring, but Val's made this one with a little zipper pouch, which is the same principle, but just slightly different design. And then Val couldn't help herself. She's added little pockets for threads and a little needle book. So I've just embellished it with this printed squirrel, who also appears in my journal, but I did stitch him in the journal. He's on the front page. That's a stamp of Rachel's. Now, we encountered squirrels in Milan, so about the only thing I got out of Milan was squirrels in the park who were fighting. I think they might have been getting ready to mate, actually. It was very feisty, whatever was going on. They were either madly in love or they hated each other. We couldn't decide. So the squirrel has appeared again because I stamped some squirrels for future projects. It was just the best stamp. And then I said to Rachel, when I come back for afternoon tea, can I get in amongst your stamps again? And she slung me her stamps and I hunted out all the bunnies. She had a lovely collection of stamps. I thought, oh, just do the bunnies. Like, look at them. Aren't they just great? There's some real characters there. That bunny has already been used, so they'll just go into my stamped fabric container. And the bunny went there. So he has found a home there. That's just some scraps that come off the front composition. These pieces were a little bit big and I just stitched them there for now. I'll do some camphor stitching on them, something like that. And then over here, a bit of a nod to the strawberry project that it was meant to be, but it morphed into vintage fabrics, Rachel's fabrics. And I love this little bit of text about, you know, the benefits of the strawberry and how they're perfect for desserts. So that come from a fabric that, oh, I haven't stitched that down there, look at that. That come from a fabric that I got from Howard Drapery. You guys, I'm sure, know that. Little medallion that was on my journal was just kicking around. So that's what I transported it in on the plane. So let's just put that out of the way. Now, let's show you a few other bits and bobs. Vintage fabrics. So all over Italy, we went to flea markets, antique markets, visited wholesalers, dealers, and I just picked up a few pieces that spoke to me. I didn't go crazy because, you know, fabric is useful, but I only need little bits of things. I don't sell the fabrics. So Rachel was really keen to keep adding to her stash so that she can make packs for everybody, which I believe she's going to release some packs coming week. But if there was something that was in a decent smallish size, I did pick it up and within my budget. So I picked up two pieces that are old religious garments. And this would, I presume, go around the neck. And I just loved the fabric. So at the moment, I'm going to leave it attached because I think it's rather beautiful. But who knows? I'll show you the other one when I get to another tray I've got of some treasures. So I'll quickly flip through these. You know, it's a mix of Italian, a mix of Paris, French fabrics, and I just picked colours that spoke to me. So I don't know how, well, I do know how I'm going to use them. I always shop with a project in mind. I won't go into details because we'll be here forever. So I did sort of have that in the back of my mind. Some of these were gifted to us, like if we bought a little bit of fabric, the dealer would say, here you go, girls, take that. So a couple of these are just randoms that I'm like, oh yeah, I would be able to use that. Some upholstery fabrics, old and new. Just love the colours. It was a lot of fun, just rummaging through these tables of different fabrics. But I'll be quick because, you know, we'll be here forever. There's some silks in there. This is some very old French fabric. Now we're talking. This is right up my alley. So I was pleased to be able to pick up a couple more pieces because everything I bought in Paris a couple years ago I've just about used. I'm like, the girl needs to go back. So to go to Italy and find some French fabrics, and then Rachel gave me some for Christmas. Oh, like, very cool. So these are all new-ish Italian upholstery fabric offcuts, like perfect size for me. So really, really pleased. Rachel got some beautiful big pieces. Can't wait to see those packs, which is exactly what we need, is just bits of things. So a lot of hard work goes into putting those packs together, let me tell you. I see the work that Susanna goes through when she puts her packs through on her Etsy store. The laundering of things, the cutting them down into little bits and pieces. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I love the back, love the front. Oh, they're so pretty. Hurry up, girl, you'll be here forever. You can see I just picked up little bits whenever I saw little bits. A bit of red, a bit more French fabric. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at this piece. This was a treasure. This is really old, Napoleon fabric, they call it, Napoleon era. I paid a pretty penny for it. It's a big piece. I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I just fell in love with it because you know me, I love my reds, French fabrics. I know I'll use it. And as I said, I have a project in mind coming up probably this year that these will be dipped into. So that's my little collection of fabrics. Let's pop that to one side. All right, let me show you some treasures. I might just pause the video, pull these last few piles to me so that I can easily show them to you. So it won't be a moment. Okay, I'm back. Now, the next lot of things aren't really the textile side of things. Well, maybe a little bit. If you followed me, Gaz and I, as we gallivanted to America last year, I tend to collect random things and create like little collections of things like rabbits or, oh, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter, glass or whatever. I started with a couple little beaded bags that I got from America. They're not super old, but they're just gorgeous, and I just love having them around because I think someone sat there and has beaded them. So I've got this next section of the video is just these random items that I use as decor items around my home. I don't think there's anything overly rare here, but a couple things are. I'm yet to do a bit of research. I haven't had time yet. I'm really too tired to remember all the detail anyway. So I need to take a photo of them, do a bit of Google research and just see exactly what I've got. But when I saw them and I was like, oh, gee, I do love that. I'd point to it with Rach and she'd go, that's beautiful and that's a good price. So it was so good having her sort of on my shoulder, directing me in that aspect. I also fell in love with Rachel's wall of curiosities. I've got a massive wall already which has a shelving unit full of curiosities that I've inherited and collected ever since I was a pup. And now I have a plan for a wall in my studio. So I sort of know my theme roughly, and I'm just slowly putting some pieces together. So with that in mind, these are two embroideries that I picked up that are on paper. And when you have a look at this one particularly, there's like miniature scene in the bottom here, and she actually had a magnifying glass. Can you see the people at the base of the image? Like they're tiny. So this is all paper that has been pieced together and to create the scene. So cut out strips of gold paper and all adhered, and then around the outer edge is even more paper that's been cut to create this gorgeous image on this very old piece of paper. And I just thought it is so beautiful. Paper art to the T. Like, look at those. I just thought they were beautiful. Probably paid too much, but as I said, I don't know yet their value. So I'm hoping I did okay with that. So that's gives you a bit of a feel for the colour palette that I'm building on my wall of curiosities, these sorts of tones. So I'll put that one side. I found this patch off of an old religious garment, which I thought was just adorable, and it was within my budget. I saw quite a few things that were just too much for my budget. But when I did see things I liked and I'm like, you know, I can afford that, I'm going to take that. So that was one. This was a gorgeous little bag I found. Look at this sweet, sweet little thing. Oh, I don't know history on it. I just can't wait to do a little bit of research, but it's a tiny little drawstring bag. It's ever so delicate. It's got metal braid on it. Oh, beautiful. A beaded bag. Look at that. Look at the trim. It's black velvet. It's ever so delicate. Press the little button, open up inside. Isn't she a beauty? Can't wait to do a research on her. Look at that. Love her. Love, love, love. This is a little pouch, drawstring pouch. Isn't she gorgeous? There's metal. Oh yeah, I forgot I put those in there. These are metal laces. Aren't they just gorgeous? I forgot I stuck them in there. Safekeeping. They'll be fun to play with. This is another clergy's piece that was within my budget. And I just thought, she's beautiful. Not sure what I'll do with it, whether I break it down and use it or leave it as it is. I'm not sure. We'll just sort of see how we go. Okay, Gaz has just come in. Does he want me? No, he doesn't want me. So I can keep going. Found these at a market, and she wanted quite a lot of money per sheet, but when I showed interest that I'd just take the lot, she pretty much reduced them to a very good price for me. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll take them. Tiny little letters in on a lace. Are they just gorgeous? Very cute. This is a beauty too. This is a little silver coin purse. She's so delicate. Look at that. Oh, can't wait to do research on that. The lady that has all the lace that Rachel often refers to, she had an antique shop as well. So she sort of is a dealer in all sorts, and that's where we picked up a lot of these little treasures. Now, Florentine trays. Oh my goodness. I didn't even know these things existed. I found 2 at the markets for very little money, this one and this one. And I'm like whipping back through the market saying, what is this, Rachel? Where has this been? And she said, oh, they're quite common. They're called Florentine trays, timber, embellished with this engraving and then painted. So I was just like, wow, I just love them. They'll be great on the wall or just to use. I've got old melamine trays that I put projects on. I thought, you know what? They're quite inexpensive. I can use these to carry my projects if they don't end up on the wall. Roll forward to, we are now in Florence, and there was a shop selling them, and they were brand new. And the gentleman at the back, his wife was serving us, he was painting them. So he'd got these trays in from somewhere where the center was quite plain, and he was painting flowers through the center, and they were just gorgeous. So I ended up picking up 3 new ones, very touristy thing, and they're coming up. They got some lace sitting on them. So Florentine trays, I just love them. Let's go to the next random items. Oh, I looked at so many ducks. I love a good duck. This is not exactly a duck. It's a turtle dove, I think. Brass. I love brass pieces. So I picked up a few bits and pieces in America. So I've got myself a brass turtle dove. This little cutie. Look at this. Isn't she gorgeous? So I have to do a bit of research on these. Love all little brass pieces. See what I mean by this is random, and every girl needs a sewing machine. Look at this. Isn't it just gorgeous? I think it's from the 1950s, not 100% sure. Need to do a little bit of research, needs a bit of oil, a bit of grease to get it all working. I've just given it a bit of a clean for now because she was a dusty little thing. And once again, I need to do a little bit of research to see where exactly she's from. If any of you recognise it, throw a comment. I told you this was random. And then I found these little plates. And once again, each one was priced individually. And I thought, oh, they're so pretty. An Italian painter has made them. The image on, what are they called? And I've just lost my train of thought because I did research this one, but it was weeks ago now. This is an Italian maker, this pottery house, and the image is classic their style. So I just can't remember the name now. Sorry, I'm a bit vague on that. And I said to her, if I take all 5, Rach was with me and she did me a really good deal. And I just think they're beautiful. And as I was saying with Rachel, they're just inspiration to stitch. Like if I wanted to grab me an image to, you know, embroider, I love the composition of them. I just think they're so sweet and so different. This one I didn't clean real well. I can still see grime in the grooves, but yeah, they come up really well. So let me just put those back out of the way. I've got everything teetering on trays here. Oh, this was a little Christmas decoration I found made out of glass mold. Thought it was rather sweet. So that's my little Italian Christmas Santa. So let me grab the next tray. Oh, I don't want to break anything. This is just trims. So we went to a couple haberdashery stores and I just picked up some random bits and pieces. Some of these did come from the markets, like those little pieces. That's the tatting that I said was a 2-tone thread. You know, I'm a bit of a tatting lover. Some little trims we found. I'll talk about that in a moment. In the, you know, the side streets of Florence. What else have I got? These were really cheap at a haberdashery store, so I thought, oh, better have some of them. That was just a gorgeous piece of fringing. Trims, these are all fairly new, but I just love the colours. A little bit of velvet. I could have bought heaps of this stuff, but you know, how much can you use? So I try to refrain. This was a little sampler I found at a local flea market. It was 50 cents, that's euro. A little girl has practiced her stitching, and when I saw it, I thought I might use that in the cloth tails as a background fabric to stitch onto. And it was so discarded. Like I even washed this in the hotel. It was really grotty and the gentleman didn't seem to care too much about it. And when I pulled it out, he was like, oh, said something in Italian. Don't know what he said to me. Probably, I'm sorry, that's so grotty. Give me 50 cents. And I heard that and I'm like, oh, I can afford that. I've got a coin in my purse. So I washed it in the hotel and I just love it. I think we can do something with that. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, move these treasures out of the way and get the next lot. Back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. Okay, the next 3 trays are the new Florentine trays that I found in a touristy shop in Florence. We'll get to them in a minute. I bought some lace from one of Rachel's antique lace dealers, and I've just put on here a little selection of some of the treasures. They're all being laundered at the moment because everything's pretty dusty and old and just gorgeous. So I'm slowly working through, you know, giving everything a wash. So these are a little pile that's next into the bath. So she had a lot of little medallion laces. So I picked up a few of these little guys. This is just to give you a bit of a look at the style of lace that caught my eye. Some fine laces. Not all have come from the one place because every so often we come across a market where someone will have a bit of lace for sale. So yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick look at that. These pieces all pop up in projects. I'd love to make, I love how she pinned them together, so it made it quite easy to go, yeah, I love that. I'll take that little cluster. Some gorgeous, gorgeous laces. And I need to do some research too. I know Rachel all the time was like, that's needle lace, that's corded lace, that was this, that was that, but I just can't remember. It's like a blur. So I need to get onto Google and check into these things. I'd love to do a couple journals to keep some of these pieces because some of them are really special, and I just don't want them to disappear into my work and not have a record of some of these pieces, if not most of them, to be honest. These are just some laces that were wound onto some card, and I thought I'll show you those. That's one of the new trays. I didn't pick the ones the gentleman was painting. I wasn't a fan of the folk art imaging that he was putting on them. I didn't sort of go with what I was sort of thinking these trays were about. So I just picked the ones that were more like the two that I found in the market. That was one of them. So I'll just pop that on there. The next tray of lace is just lace that was by the meter. You know, she had some bundles, and then other dealers had little bundles. So as we meandered around, I just picked up little bundles of lace. So I just thought I'd show you those. Look at that for a nice wide one. Aren't they just so pretty? Another little tray. So show you a bit of that. And then this is the third tray from the touristy place. And these are just, I don't know, unusual. I thought, oh, I'll show you these because this is a doily that is just gorgeous. Look at that. Grapes, if that's not Italy, grapevines. I thought it was just beautiful. I wouldn't cut this up. I've got a little table that's going to get that once I give it a clean. This is just unusual. Don't know what it is. Need to do some research, but isn't it incredible? And then the dealer actually gave me this as a bit of a thank you for spending a few coins with her. So unusual, just gorgeous. So that's just a little collection of the lace that I got. What else can I show you? Actually, I can reach the next lot. Rachel uses a lot of boxes, and they come from a lady that uses very old fabrics and trims and embellishes the boxes. So when I saw this one, I was like, oh yes, I could use that. Right up my alley for colours. Such a great idea and useful. And inside, back to the random items that Corrine found at the markets, there's some more in here. So this is just some costume jewellery. I don't think it's very old, but I thought it was so pretty. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. I just thought it was gorgeous. I have a bit of a jewellery collection of my grandmother's and her sister and her mother. None of it's super valuable stuff. It's just of the era of the 1930s, 1920s, and the ladies would wear these gorgeous brooches on their hats and on their dresses. And when I saw that, it just made me think of some of the pieces that I've got from Grandma. So I picked up that. I found a little sacred heart. Rach has been mounting these on gorgeous fabrics and frames. So I found one of those on a stand, and Rach said, that's a good price, because some of them were crazy prices. And she said, no, that's worth taking home. So I thought it was just gorgeous. So I just got one of those. Random item, a little metal brass book. Isn't that just the cutest? I don't know if it's really old. I don't really know. But it was reasonably priced, and I thought, I'll do a bit of research to see what that's about. This was a market that Gaz was at with me. So we were sort of looking at all sorts of things, and we come across this old segmented tape measure, and I was like, oh, I like that. And Gaz was like, yeah, it's rather cool. So isn't it random, some of the things I've picked up? I thought you guys might enjoy it. And look at these. These are old spectacles that, let me just unhitch that, pop out, and you would use them to see, and they connect back in there like that and into the little leather case. I just think that's gorgeous. Curiosities. So I've got those sitting in my little tin, my little box, not tin. This is a very old piece of pottery, 1764. This would have to be my treasure. Absolutely gorgeous. The lady that was selling these had glass cabinets full of so many treasures, and I was like, oh my goodness. Probably paid way too much for it, but I just love it. Love it. I need to do some research on this as well. It's like stoneware, I think. So I love that. And then an antique dealer had a lovely collection of cameos. Now, I've got a couple already that I inherited. And when I saw the whole collection there, I said to her, can you do me a good deal if I take the lot? And she did. And I was like, wow, lovely. And I'm thinking of mounting them. So some of them are not old, like that's probably the era of my grandmother's. And the rest are not mounted. So they're just these gorgeous little pieces carved. Aren't they gorgeous? Some of them are really pretty. So look at that tiny little one. Look at that itty bitty one. Aren't they gorgeous? They're going to be great on some work as little highlight pieces. Or I put them together on some vintage fabric as a collection, and I'll dig out grandma's. Well, I don't even think they're grandma's. I think they're her mother's. So I've got just a little collection of cameos. I thought they were just so gorgeous. I popped them in my little box of bits and pieces. All right, I think I'm getting close to the end. I will pause the video, jump up, because I just want to grab my touristy postcards. And I think that's about all. Won't be a moment. Okay, we're now finishing with the touristy stuff. So I found some little tins with chocolates in it, and I thought they were just gorgeous, all themed to Venice. And there were more chocolates that came back, but for some reason they seem to have disappeared in the last 2 weeks. So obviously Gaz, being so poorly, had to munch on all of the chocolates, but these were saved, and I thought they're going to be mine. And I've now got a couple little tins that are going to be handy. So just touristy stuff. So we went to the glass and the lace islands near Venice, Murano and Burano, and I picked up a couple little pieces of lace, as they said, not made on the island, brought in to sell to the tourists. One chap was quite honest about it all, but I thought I might use them in my journals, in my stitchery, but they got packed up, went back with Gaz, and I finished my book and I didn't end up using them. So I'll just hang on to them for a rainy day. Christmas inspired. Fridge magnets. Got a couple. That one is of a pussycat, because there's this pussycat story right through the whole of Venice, and we were seeing them everywhere, not to mention the pussycat and the park bench that hopped onto my lap. So I got that magnet, and I'll just cover up his private bits and the famous guy, David. So postcard wise, in no particular order, when I buy postcards, I tend to go for a sketchy watercolor look, and then I make a wrap for them in textiles. So I'll do that in another video another day. So there's the classic Venice, Tuscany. So some of these were my inspiration for my drawing that you saw earlier in my journal. So a Tuscan villa, some gorgeous photos of the canals of Venice. Aren't they just beautiful? Just some little bits that I kept. Tram took us past this cathedral, didn't get to go in it, didn't stop, saw it as we whipped around the outskirts of this square, but yeah, as I said, we were off to see Roberta's beautiful fabric store, and we were starting to get quite poorly, and it was really a day of rest and just that one outing, not much touristy stuff. Another one of Venice, just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. That watercolor look. Sarah got me that. They went out one evening for a walk. We rested, and the girls got me this little guy. He was a bit of a theme all through Venice. Another gorgeous picture. I use this as my inspiration for a sketch. Venice. The Batman movie. Was it Spider-Man? Oh, I don't remember these things. Apparently Spider-Man was filmed somewhere down an alley. You walk over a heap of bridges along the side of the ocean there, and there was, yeah, anyway, Gaz knew all about it. This is Rachel's hometown. The market was here. That's the big gate that they entered the village through. And this was taken back in the day, this photo. And I thought it was gorgeous. Look at the clothes they're wearing. Just gorgeous. That's the printing place. We had a look at the big wheel and got a demonstration on how they use the weight to counterweight these big bricks of stone to press fabrics, and then using an ancient way of block printing, they print their fabrics. So that's the pouches. Probably makes a bit more sense now. Florence, I'm guessing. Yes, I think so. The Dormo, I think it was called. Gorgeous. I hadn't sketched that. Pinocchio. Oh, he's just a cutie. Pisa. That's the big cathedral that's next to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Rachel's hometown. See, that's the image that helped me sketch the clock and the road up to where my hotel was, just around the corner there. So I used that as my inspiration on my little sketch. And there is the very famous Rialto Bridge. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. There was all markets right through all that. It's massive. That makes it look small. For those of you who know Venice, you'll know the place. And then in amongst it all, Gaz fell in love with some of these photos, and he wants to have them framed and put up on the wall. Isn't that gorgeous? Black and white image. So he picked these. They're just gorgeous. The canals. And then this one. And the Spider-Man movie was behind me, where they dock all of the little boats that go through the canals that you can hop on and have a bit of a cruise, and it's like a promenade, if you will. And apparently the Spider-Man movie was here. Apparently he fought some bad guy. Anyway, there you go. So they were Gaz's picks. I think that's it, guys. There is some, like I said, random pieces of fabric that'll turn up. I picked up a few books as well, not a lot. Mainly just look for books that had interesting covers, so that in the future, as I do stitching projects, I've got some cool covers to put some stitching into. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. I've got to launder a heap of fabrics to make them all nice and clean and pack it all away. I've got Marianne coming over to catch up with her, so I just wanted to leave things out for her to have a little look through, and then I'll, pop it all away. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and now I'll put in some photos and some random little snippet videos which may amuse you. All right, guys, see you in the next video. Bye. Hi guys, I'm back. Like usual, as I'm tidying everything up, I realised I forgot to show you my samplers. Oh boy, did I find some samplers. Some of them were hot prices, other ones I paid a little bit for, but I'm absolutely wrapped with my little collection. Now, this all started because if you've been with me a while, you would have seen the sampler that I found in America, and it's framed up on my wall, and I just love it. I think it's so beautiful, and it's a real old one. I think from memory it was 1860 something, don't quote me on that. So in the back of my head I was like, I'm going to hunt for some samplers, and Gaz was really impressed with the sampler we found in America too. So we sort of said, that's a lovely thing to collect, some of these old samplers. Some of these aren't that old, but aesthetically they just looked beautiful. So I just thought I'd come back, show you the samplers, and then, I can put them away and work out what I'm going to do to preserve them. This one was in a frame, and the antique dealer, I said to her, take it out of the frame. It's just safer to travel, not as bulky. So I don't think there was a date on this one. I might be wrong. Down the bottom here. And I'm not real good with my MDCCCs, XLLs. I should have researched that before I turned the camera on, but it's okay. I'm sure you guys know already the date on that. So that's one of them. So really, really pleased with it. Maria. Oh, beautiful job, Maria. This one is another one. Isn't it beautiful? Look how small the stitches are. Just gorgeous. The initials, I'm guessing, of the young person that did it, or no, it doesn't have to be a young person. Look at the little hemming around there. I hope she got good marks from her teacher. Then I found this little one. It's up the wrong way. Look at it practicing all of her stitches. Little stitches down the bottom here. She must have had a little bit of thread left, so she was working that in. Don't think there's a name or date on that one. No, they're sort of one of those things that the more you look at them, the more you see. So I haven't had a close look. We've got another Maria. Have we got a date? It's not jumping out to me. You guys might see it before I do. Don't think so. It's like one strand of cotton. Incredible. And I love the little random blue cross. Isn't that just so pretty? Then I found this one. Isn't that gorgeous? Very old piece of cloth that's stitched onto. I think that's the town. 1913, I think. Yeah, 1913. Great stitching. Aren't they just the coolest things? I even got tempted to buy some cross-stitch samplers for me to do, and I was like, no, we're not going there. Isn't this just gorgeous? I fell in love with the script. Once again, this was in an old frame. It wasn't that old. And I said to the dealer, look, can you pop it out, because it's just tricky to bring frames with glass home. And it wasn't anything super special, so I thought, no, we can do better when we get a moment. So love that one. I love how it's got a little pop of yellow around the outer edge. And then this little one, 1901. Augusta, oh goodness me, I feel like I'm going to cough. Oh my goodness. You see, it's still with me, this little cough. So, yeah, hopefully it'll clear up. This is a bit grotty, this one, but it's just gorgeous. I love the Aida cloth that it's on. I've got to do a bit of research to see how I clean these carefully. I've done a bit of YouTubing on how to wash lace and things like that, but this is a different background, so I need to be a little educated on all that. So I love that one, 1901. And then this one was framed, and I didn't mind the frame. It was the first one I found, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to leave it in the frame. I think we can get it home, and this one come back with Gaz, and it's arrived safe and sound. 1796. Look at that, guys. Isn't it just so sweet? Those stitches are tiny, even to the point where she's stitched a little border. Let me bring it up to the camera. Can you see the tiny stitches on that border? Isn't it just gorgeous? So that's my little sampler collection. I've never seen so many in one country. They're usually few and far between. Well, where I am, they are. So to come across a few in a cluster here and there, it was just so cool. So as I mentioned, earlier in the video, my wall of curiosities is going to be kicked off with samplers. I just think they're gorgeous, and in amongst it, who knows what else. But samplers have found a safe place with me. I always remembered when Leanne from Crafty Cupboard, I hope I got your name right there, Leanne, of your channel. Oh my goodness, I can't half tell, I'm jet lagged. Leanne's Crafty Cupboard. She is a doily sanctuary. When she comes across doilies that are just so beautiful, it's a safe space for them, never to be cut up and used in slow stitch projects. So this is the sampler safe space. So there you go. All right, guys, that's it. I will definitely say goodbye now, and I'll just slide in some cute videos that I made, just like, 30 seconds here, there. And a lot of them I was just sending back to Marianne and Gaz just to show them what I was up to. So I'll whack them at the end of this video. So if you hear me talking to Gaz, that's what it's about. I didn't end up doing a whole video vlog of Italy like I did America. And I just relaxed into the holiday and didn't really feel like traipsing around trying to get angles and footage and things like that. And at the end of the day, there were 3 YouTubers all there, and we all just took a break, to be honest. It was really, really good. So I've got some few little snippety bits to pop in, but yeah, we just stitched and chatted and giggled and enjoyed Italy. So I hope I didn't disappoint by not having a big video vlog of Italy. I'll do it another time. I'm sure I'll be doing more travel when it's just Gaz and I, and we can focus on where we're going, what we're doing, educating ourselves, so we got a story to tell. I just trundled through Italy. It was fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed my treasures that I found video, and I will definitely say goodbye now and catch you in the next video. Bye for now. Well, look at this. Look what has just come out of the garden with his lovely little Italian collar on, and he's sitting on my lap. So you say hello, Fudgy. Hey? Say hello to Fudge. Aren't you a beautiful little boy? Oh, seriously, you Italian cats are pretty cool. Wonder where he's come from. There's a building site behind me and heaps of apartments. So obviously, Pusscat here. He's in need of a little bit of a smooch. Hello, baby. Oh. You say hi, Fudge. Found myself an Italian cat. Gaz has got the camera and holding it for us as we have a little moment here. We were just sitting on a park bench watching a little dachshund puppy run around, and little Meow Meow come out of the bushes and said, "Can I hop up on your lap?" Oh, you are sweet. You're very sweet. You're very cool. You want to come back with me? Well, I've made it to Venice. We've just got off the train and we're literally walking straight ahead to view the start of Venice, and we're here for 3 days. Head back on the 4th day. Look at all the boats whizzing along, the ferries. Just amazing. Water taxis, and that's the plan next. We're going to walk to the hotel, then we'll work out these taxis and start tripping around. Beautiful. See you soon, guys. Just a hive of activity. Just picture George Clooney on one of those little boats. Beautiful. Okay, a fish just fell out of the sky and nearly hit Rachel on the head. Then we cross a bridge and we see this. It's going to be a very interesting day today. All very bizarre. And the seagulls are like having a feast. He's got himself another one. Look at this beautiful collection. Private collection. Just beautiful. All these collars. There's a lady sitting behind me making lace, and on the wall as I entered was an old photo, and it's her husband's grandmother. Look at that, guys. Just when we thought the glass was a no-go because we hardly saw a thing, we find something like this. Just beautiful. Just so delicate. Just. I'll stop talking because what can you say? How fine that is. What a beautiful way to present the lace. Look at this, guys. Oh my goodness me. And then in the back corner here is not only this dress of lace, but look at the fans. And that's back to the front of the store. So I've walked through a gallery. Just beautiful. I will finish the video and I'll just take some beautiful up-close photos.
Con la sacristía.
White and green marble. And then the dome of the Dormo's up the top. Towers, bells, way up there. And that's where the David statue was, but he's now in a museum. So that's the fake one. And that's Neptune. Good morning. Outside the hotel room this morning, we have snow. It's supposed to be here for 2 days, so we won't be traveling anywhere. We will be hunkering in and stitching because it gets a bit dangerous driving in the snow. How adorable. You can actually see it falling. I'll have to find out when the last time it snowed here, but I believe it was like over 10 years. I'll double check with Rachel when they come to pick me up. Oh, I can hear the crunch under my feet. How cool. All right, guys, see you later. Okay, I got back out of the car park at the hotel, and they tell me that if I walk on the powdery stuff, I shouldn't fall over. So the big church is up the top of the hill there. Look at the trees. Just beautiful. All right, I might stop filming. Oops, sloppy, muddy. Whoop. Okay, stop filming. Okay, the Christmas tree in the center of town now has snow on it. Whoa, nearly slipped over. Oh my goodness. I'll just stand still for a moment so you can see all the snow. Something new for this Queenslander. It's coming down really heavily now. Ground's very squelchy, and my all-terrain snowshoes, aka Adidas runners with canvas, are now sodden. My toes are frozen, but oh boy, it's so pretty.